Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Lincoln High School. USL2 game between West Seattle Junction FC and your home team, United PDX. Now for your starting lineups. Lining up for West Seattle Junction FC, number 6, Julian Kerr. Number 12, Julian Rangel. Number 13, Joseph Raymond. Number 14, Jake Larson. Number 24, Mansour Diop. Number 29, Lucas Martin. Number 30, Leon Pizuka. Number 32, Damoni McKenna. Number 33, Jason Stein. Number 34, Ricky Kobayashi. And number 35, Aaron Stapleton. Up for United PDX, in goal, number 0, Rowan Schnebley. Number 6, Oliver Geising. Number 10, Brandon Knapp. Number 19, Ben Augie. Number 21, Mohammed Mohammed. Number 23, Loic Bowers. Number 25, Sean McDowd. Number 27, Connor Evans. Number 28, Jackson Finn. Number 29, Michael Hatcher. And number 41, Drew Peterson. Now, ladies and gentlemen, please rise and remove your caps for the playing of our national anthem.
Hello and welcome to Portland, Oregon for a huge USL2 matchup here in the Northwest Division. My name is Seth Orensky, joined by Jimmy Clarke. It's United PDX coming in at 3rd place in the league, tied for 3rd with the Tacoma Stars with 14 points. 1 point behind 2nd place West Seattle Junction, who sits in 2nd with 15 points. The second meeting of the season for these two teams. First time since May the 26th when they tied 1-1 up at Nino Cantu Southwest Athletic Complex. And Jimmy, right now, United PDX playing their 3rd of 4 games at home during this huge 4-game homestand. 2-0, already big wins over Ballard FC and Capital FC Atletico. this might be the biggest of the 4 games. They've already gotten themselves back into contention for a playoff spot. Now a 3 points here could be the difference between them heading to their first ever USL2 playoffs and maybe falling just short like they did a year ago.
Yeah, and they've got to come into this game with confidence, right? They've won 2 games at home. They've got to keep the momentum. They've got to keep taking their game to them and be very aggressive wherever they possibly can. And I think that, you know, the last 2 games has given them confidence. Today, it's a little wet, it's a little rainy. They're going to have to play with quality, make sure the passes are crisp, they're to feet. You know, these balls in front of players are going to have to be really weighted well. So they've got to, you know, this game, the dynamic of this game is going to be very different than the last 2 that they've played.
It's also going to be a very different looking lineup. An entirely new front 3 for today's game. Brandon Knapp, the Seton Hill player, moves up top in a rare start. He'll be on the left. Jackson Finn back in the lineup. His 3rd start in the past 4 games. He'll be the center forward. Drew Peterson, the Gonzaga Bulldog, will be on the right. Midfield looks pretty similar to what we're seeing. Connor Evans continues to start. He started all 9 games this year. Ben Augie back in for the 2nd straight game after a red card. Oliver Giesing makes a rare start. The uncommitted player has played a little bit professionally in Germany at the U19 level. He gets the start in there with Marios Andreu unavailable tonight. Slightly different looking back line. In the middle, Sean McDowd in there once again with Ryan Ludwig unavailable. Michael Hatcher has been starting at center back next to Ludwig and now McDowd. Mo Muhammad on the right. Loic Barres, who scored the lone goal in that 1-1 tie in the season opener for United PDX. He's in the starting lineup, but at left back, we've been seeing a lot of him up front. So a different looking lineup. Rowan Schnebley continues to start. He has been phenomenal during this trend where United PDX has been the top defensive team all season. 4-1 this year. He started 5 consecutive games, 2 shutouts, 3 goals allowed in 430 minutes. So he will look to have another strong outing against a West Seattle team that has also had a lot of success. They've scored 18 goals this year, but they've given up 21 goals, and they nearly had what would have been a really tough loss on Wednesday. They played FC Olympia to a 1-1 tie in which they needed an 87th minute PK save from their goalie Lucas Martin just to keep a tie against an FC Olympia team who sits in the bottom 3 here in the Northwest Division. So United PDX in their home blues going from left to right, and West Seattle Junction, the team in their first year here in USL2, going from right to left in the predominantly white tops with the what looks like navy blue sleeves. It's controlled here by Hatcher. Hatcher slides it on the turf and able to find Peterson for United PDX. Godinez on the bench. He's been typically starting in the spot that Barres occupies. Ludwig again unavailable, and players like Gogo Peters and Isaiah Easley, who have been playing well in the attack, both available today, but they will be coming off the bench for Troy Reddy, who has been making the right decisions lately. 3 consecutive wins, 2 by 2-1 scores, and then a breakout 5-0 win on Wednesday. So United PDX has scored 9 of their 12 goals in the past 3 games. Really been picking it up offensively. They've given up just 6 goals all season. That is 7 goals better than the second best defense in the league, Ballard FC, who earned a big 2-1 win last night over Mid Lakes United. A positive for both of these teams. Mid Lakes was just behind these teams with 13 points coming into the weekend. Muhammad heads it ahead for Peterson as Giesing and Finn. He'll leave it in between the two. Able to find Knapp. Made a late run, and Giesing wins it. Giesing has been a second-half substitute the last couple games, but gets the start today, and eventually that's played out for a throw.
Yeah, and that just goes to show that the pace of the game is going to be really quick today, simply because the ground is slick, and you just saw that ball from Connor Evans a little bit in front of the player, can't get to it because it's slick. So they've got to play to feet today.
Well, and Jimmy, it's interesting. We're 2 minutes in. What kind of pre-game conversation, what kind of tact do you think we're going to see out of United PDX? The opener of this 4-game homestand, they showed Ballard FC a lot of respect. They grew into the game, but they were focused on not conceding early. In the last game, the goal was to get goals early. This is probably a game where the two teams match up on paper very similarly.
Yeah, and it's interesting to see the changes the coach has made going into this game. It's obviously he's done a little bit of scouting and said, okay, the matchup player by player fits better with this. And also too, putting Loic Bowers in the back, left back, I think is an interesting decision. I would have probably put him up a little bit higher, but let's see how that plays out. I think what you're going to see from Bowers is balls going in, and he's going to make late runs around, because you can't take the offensive out of him because he's going to be aggressive. You are seeing already they are a little bit more confident. They are going at them a lot quicker. So I think we're going to see some good stuff out today.
United PDX in their typical 4-3-3. West Seattle lines up in a 4-4-2. Up top, it's Leon Chizuka and Jason Stein. Stein's the player to watch. A team leading 5 goals this summer. That one's pinged in. Finn trying to make the late run and will not get there as Lucas Martin is going to issue that one out. Stein, who's played at Whatcom Community College, D2 Western Washington, and now Northwest University and NAIA school, 5 goals, including a goal in each of the past 3 games. In the midfield, Riki Kobayashi out of Whitman in Walla Walla Division III school, Aaron Stapleton, the Seattle Pacific player, Julian Rangel, one of 3 Highline Community College players, and Julian Kerr, an England native who is set to play with the Badgers of Wisconsin in the fall. The back 4, Joseph Raymond, a Division III player at Amherst College out in Massachusetts. Manny Diop, the player to watch. He's actually played up top a bit as well. He's the University of Washington center back. Jake Larson, a D2 Fort Lewis player, and the right back is Devani McKenna, originally out of Trinidad and Tobago. He is the right back, again, a Highline Community College player. In net, it's Lucas Martin, who's been their clear starter, the sophomore, another England player at Division II Fort Lewis, who had a really strong freshman year. So slightly different formations. As this will be Hatcher sliding in and able to find Finn, the flick onto Giesen. Oliver looks up and he'll cross it towards the back post, a bit too much behind it, and it's out for a goal kick.
Good to see them be a little bit aggressive here, even though it is a little slick. You are seeing some of those balls go over the top. I do think that's great to see.
And it's interesting here. We both thought that Evans would be the player who would play centrally, as that's a good ball towards Finn in the back post, still loose, punched up there as the chance as 2 players go head to head. They're going to call that against United PDX. I thought that was a pretty fair challenge, but the West Seattle player took the worst of it. Should be just a foul, nothing further, but obviously when you see a player go down in a heap like that, you worry about player safety.
Yeah, and it's good to see, you notice the patience there. They're getting the ball, they're looking for the opportunity, they're making late runs in there, and that was a great ball. If that had been about 2 or 3 inches higher, that would have been a nice little header and a nice goal. And that is a fair head combat, quite frankly. I don't think that was really a foul, but the referee's protecting the players, and that's respectable.
Yeah, Drew Peterson, the player who made that contact, is going to have a conversation with the referee. I think the yellow's coming out, which to me seems super harsh.
Well, you're wrong, ref.
A yellow card within the first 6 minutes for what?
It's a 50-50.
I mean, what do you expect Peterson to do there outside of go for a ball that's inside the 6 with the goalie out of net? But
well, and what was interesting there is Peters really only took 2 steps and went up where this other player was coming in from a further distance. So the reality is a 50-50 ball. Both went for it. Peterson stood strong. He hit Peterson, got a little injured. That was definitely not a yellow card. But again, that's the ref's call. We'll see how the referee handles this the rest of the game.
Player on the opposite side was Jake Larson, who right now is still holding his face. Hopefully, and I say this, hopefully it's a nosebleed and nothing further. I mean, anytime you see a player down like that, you worry about concussion, broken bones, all not fun things for a soccer player, really any human. But hopefully he is okay. Didn't see a substitution. We'll see if they did elect to make an immediate change or if they're just going to play a man down in the midfield while they show 4 in the back right now. Aaron Stapleton has dropped back into what looks like the left back role, maybe. Off of the restart, it'll be Martin who will boot this one long, and it's headed down. Jimmy, one of the interesting things is on the lineup sheet we were given, it looked like Giesing would play that central role that we're so used to Connor Evans playing, but Evans has reverted into that space. And You talk about Evans coming off a hat trick, the first player to score multiple goals all season, not in a game, but for the team this year. He's been the spine of this team. It's good to see him hopefully build off of that after he played so well in the last game.
Yeah, he's a naturally defensive midfield player that attacks, right? So it's, you know, even though he's laned up on the right, I had a feeling that he would drop down into that center position. So that's the reason why formations for me are really just about, let's see what happens in the game, see what it's been given, and play your natural position as well.
And of the three midfielders, Ben Augie, who was lined up on the opposite side, is certainly the most attacking of the three. We expect him to join the attack a little bit more than Evans or Giesing to begin with, as this one is sprayed out wide and out from Julian Kerr.
I think you're going to see in this game a lot of back and forth because it being a wet ground, and you've got to play with a lot of quality today. And if you put a lot of pressure on players, they're going to be forced to make silly decisions or bad passes. And so it's all about composure, it's all about quality of passing and vision.
Evans to the far side looking for Barres, just a little bit too strong. And that's where United PDX should have a slight advantage because they've been so good at just not conceding. This is a team that is perfectly comfortable playing for a 1-0, 2-1 win, whereas West Seattle has gotten into a couple more track meets. And West Seattle, who has just 3 games left after today, all at home, all up in West Seattle, so that's a positive, just like United PDX. They are unbeaten at home, but this is a West Seattle team that maybe has a little bit less leeway these last 4 games because they've dropped some games, including a surprising 4-2 loss to Capital FC Atletico earlier in the year. Ball is headed out and right back towards Damani McKenna. McKenna played high school in Bainbridge up in Washington and is one of the 3 players at Highline Community College. 18 starts as a freshman, 3 goals, 10 assists, making his 5th start of the summer. 2 United players there. They feed into the middle looking for Augie. The attempted clearance goes off him. Mo Muhammad joins the battle for the ball and eventually wins it. Surrounded by 3 shirts. Drops it off for Giesing and over for Augie. Pass eventually finds Evans. Good little pressure there by Tezuka, who's kind of dropping in between the ball and the 2 center backs, denying that pass that United PDX is very comfortable playing to their 2 center backs. This is Knapp, who dropping pretty far back, and now he'll join the attack. One nice thing about these formations under Troy Reddy is players are certainly not locked into certain spots. You see Knapp, who's on paper the left forward, coming all the way back there, almost to play like a 6. Giesing into the path of Evans. Evans double teamed. Evans still with it. A good clearance for Diop. Mohammed trying to win it back and doesn't quite get there. Playing on the turf is Julian Rangel, looking for his collegiate teammate Tezuka. Tezuka able to feed the middle for Stein, and the top goal scorer is denied. But first real look of the game for either side in the 12th minute. Schnebly easily able to make the save on the low line drive.
Yeah, and that came from us trying to force it into the forward up there. You know, even though that was a good ball, we're forcing it. They got a quick break. They played it really well. You know, but give players shots like that outside is okay. You don't want them, you know, obviously make it get in further into the box and get a better shot off the goal. So we've got to keep pushing that, but we've got to put more pressure on it.
Out wide, this is Knapp. My other question is, Mo Muhammad kind of came out of that tackle because he knew he wasn't going to quite get there in time. Is that in part because of the turf, but also that early yellow card certainly sets a tone in this game?
Yeah, well, I think just Mo was just, as he's coming out to him, he just thought he could get there. Unfortunately, he couldn't. But, and you got to be dangerous here. That's where you got to stand up. For him, he needs to just sprint, get back defensive side, hold his man, and force him backwards. So it was a little bit of a poor decision to slide in like that.
We have a stoppage. Didn't quite see what happened on the field as the head officials come over and talking to one of the ARs and the 4th official. Now, the player who was hurt, Jake Larson, continues to be treated. There are 10 field players out on the field from what I could figure out, doing some quick math, which sometimes can be dangerous. This may just be a potential injury substitution where you're able to not use that sub and bring Larson back in, but we haven't heard anything listed, and, well, I think we're going to officially get that sub for Larson, whose day may be done. One of the two center backs for West Seattle, who's already down quite a few of their better defensive players, including William McGuire, junior out of Sacramento, California, who plays at the University of Washington, unavailable for today's game for the first time all summer. He had been the only West Seattle player to start all 10 games. So they're going to, looks like, give a drop ball to West Seattle, who are going to be expected to, or be reversing this. Ball should be United PDX's ball. And after some confusion, we'll restart. It looks like West Seattle had brought the sub on as a live sub rather than actually bringing him in with the fourth official, and that may have caused that odd break just about 12 minutes into the half. As here's Evans clipping a ball over the top. Knapp showing off the speed. He's not going to get there. Dropping it was the keeper, Martin, but he drops it out of bounds, and now we should not be getting a substitution on a United PDX throw. But they will allow the change, and now it's officially back to 11v11. So after a lot of strange stuff.
Yeah, it was, and it was a really good ball from Evans over the top there. Unfortunately, again, it's because it's just so slick. It's just getting away from the players a little bit too much.
Get you the number on that West Seattle substitute. This one is booted deep from the keeper, makes its way all the way back to McDowd, sophomore at the University of Notre Dame, and back for Schnebley. Good header coming from Joseph Raymond, and Evans will settle. To this point, West Seattle has had the best chance of the game. United PDX has had slightly more possession, especially in the attacking third. Mo Muhammad looking for options, drops it off for Giesing. Going off the footwork, and he'll keep the ball through one challenge and eventually loses it. Stolen right back by Evans, and now he's dispossessed. Aaron Stapleton eyes up. Out wide for Tezuka, has one option in the box. He'll wisely pull it back, finds Stapleton. Stapleton towards the back post, 3 white shirts in the vicinity, and it's headed wide by Jason Stein.
He was lucky there that he went up to and confused the two players behind him, because if he just left it, there was 2 wide players at the back.
Got a 41 out on the field for West Seattle Junction, and there's not a 41 on the roster. So that's going to make it a little bit more difficult for us to get you information on that player, but we'll do our best as we go along. Evans with Finn asking for it. Instead, he plays the long ball here. Good look for Augie. Keeper thought about coming out, and it's floated high. But that was the first time, really, that we've seen Lucas Martin indecisive, and it nearly cost him.
Yeah, that was a really good ball, and unfortunately, Ben's making a run there, obviously, to the right side of the field, and he's trying to come across his body to get that accurate to the goal. So, unfortunately, that was a tough one, but it's a great ball in there from Evans.
Augie does have a goal this season for United PDX, who's been spreading the wealth offensively. 3 goals in the last game from Evans, but their other 9 goals have been shared across 9 different players. They're a team that likes to score by committee. This one is played all the way back for Schnebley, and it's Stein who will put the pressure on. This is a team that doesn't like to give those defenders and goalies much time on the ball. Mo Muhammad sprints through the midfield looking for Finn, who had dropped. Finn is going to be called for the foul as West Seattle was asking for advantage, and I can see why they wanted it. Julian Kerr, the player who drew that foul. Almost 18 minutes into the first half. Second meeting of the season. First meeting was the first game of the year for United PDX and the third for West Seattle Junction. So it's been a while. That game at the end of May. We're almost into July. Finn trying to leave it in the path of a teammate. Played it in behind him, and now we go the other way. Kobayashi for Stein. Brings it down. Now can he get a shot up? Stein still looking to get a left-footed shot off. Two defenders come over. Stein still with it. Needs to cut it back. Floats it towards the back post. The player's there. And what a goal line clearance by McDowd. Denying what looked like a Kobayashi sure goal. And now we'll get a foul and it'll lead to a free kick.
That was a great defensive play, and I am seeing United. You saw their Bowers make a beautiful run up front, but they left a massive gap in the back. So that's going to be something that United's got to be very careful of tonight, as these, offensive-minded players that are more in the defensive role, moving forward and leaving massive gaps in the back. And you saw that there as West Seattle Junction was able to get some space behind United.
So we do officially have the substitute. It's Preston Waltz, number 41. So Waltz is on for Larson. They've already had to make a defensive change. They should be up 1-0 if not for a great clearance from McDowd. And now West Seattle Junction still in a dangerous attacking position. Stapleton behind the ball to the near post and whips it just wide as Schnebley throws a hand up to say, I had it covered. But another good look. That's the second shot on target here for West Seattle. They've both been from good angles.
Yeah, they've done well going forward, and if you notice, there are more breaks, right? A little bit quicker on the break side of things. And again, I think that's because United's leaving a few pieces of gaps around the field here that's making it dangerous.
In the midfield, it's Evans who took a high hit, and that was dangerous towards the head from Julian Rangel. And while I don't think that was card worthy, I do think that based off the early precedent, that could be a card in this game if you call it the same way. So Evans is still pleading his case. That was spiked to arm above the wrist and close to the head as he was going for a header. And I think we're going to see a yellow. I'm surprised and a little bit saddened because it makes me worried about where this game could go, but Julian Rangel is our second player in the book, joining Drew Peterson. 21 minutes in, and our head official has certainly set a precedent in this game.
Yeah, we've seen this game become a little bit more back and forth, over the top and back, and which is kind of interesting, understanding the conditions that we're playing in tonight. So I would like to see a little bit more of the touch and go, 1-2 passing, and bring it up as a unit. But nonetheless, makes for a interesting and fun game.
Officials for today's game: Joshua Madison, Ryan Jung, and Wilson Munoz for this big contest as the ball is whipped out wide. Long run here, and it's going to be offside either way. That was Loic Barres on the far side, and we've seen United PDX really try to attack that far side. Partially it's because Evans can hit most of the time a really nice ball out there, but it seems like there's a little bit of space on the right side of that West Seattle defense.
Well, and I think that's the idea of Barres to make these late runs, arching runs, because that's where he's best, right? It's his superpower to get around the back there and get those crosses in. So I would like to. I liked seeing that.
Barres had an assist in the last game on a goal from Hatcher at literally the final whistle of the game. As this one's played through, it's a chance for Waltz, and a sliding tackle from who else? Barres is able to make the play. And now Schnebley has the ball taken out of his gloves as he tried to make a play. Schnebley pushing what looks like Stein, and I think we're going to see our third and fourth yellows as Schnebley, as upset as you are, I don't think you can afford to push the player, and that should be yellow on either side.
Yeah, he should have been a little bit calmer with that. I mean, let the referee do his job. He was going to come in and give him a yellow. That was a bad play by, the West Seattle player. So, got to let the referee do his job at that point.
Well, now he's asking for the West Seattle players to back off. The yellow is definitely going to be given to Stein, who that's big because Stein is one of the top players on West Seattle this year, their top goal scorer. And Schneble has not been shown the yellow, but it's only an inevitable moment now, and we have 4 yellows in the first 23 minutes. This has a little bit of the feeling of that Turkey-Czechia game that we referenced on Wednesday. The thing is that both of these teams have a big group of players on the bench available. You just don't want to have one of these players get a second yellow here in the first half and have to play with 10.
Yeah, this is where they've got to calm the game down a little bit. This is where Connor Evans comes in as a leader, Barrows, with their experience to say, all right, let's calm this thing down. Let's get the ball. Let's play it about. Let's look to good 1-2 touch soccer. Look into the forwards to get it back and keep the game simple. This is where leadership really needs to play a role.
And for United PDX, you've had possession. You've had the ball in positive areas. You still don't have your first shot on target. We're 24 minutes in. Now, granted, this game has been really stop and start. The 4 yellow cards, the injury to Larson. But if you're United PDX, you'd like to generate something. You don't need to score here in the first half, but like to have some positive momentum going to the second where they've been a better offensive team. They scored 3 in the first half on Wednesday, but they've scored 2 in the second half of 3 consecutive games. Giesing trying to play that for Finn. It's headed away by Raymond, who's moved into that second center back spot alongside Diop.
It was a nice little floater. Defender did very good to get to it. Again, if he'd missed that, then Finn would have been in.
Looks like Kobayashi has dropped to play left back here after the injury to Larson. The left back's dropped to play center. Again, we're not even 25 minutes in. We've had a sub. We've had 4 yellow cards, a goal line clearance from McDowd with the goalie out of position. It's not as if this game has not had some big moments despite the 0-0 tie, as Evans is whistled for the foul, and he had some differing opinions there as Tezuka is still down. Probably a knee to the back there is what was given, maybe an elbow.
Yeah, this is what we were talking about at the very beginning when we saw the referee give that yellow card for that, pretty fair 50-50 challenge. You're seeing the tone of the game change a little bit. They're getting a little bit aggressive because people are getting frustrated, and I think the referee can do a little bit better job of putting a little bit better control over this.
Well, especially with both of these teams in the playoff hunt, the last thing you want is a player to be given a red card, not only miss the remainder of this game, but also miss the next game. Both of these teams will play FC Olympia next.
Yeah.
For United, they host Olympia on Tuesday. West Seattle has a little bit of time off. They don't play them until the 7th. But every game crucial here to 2 teams currently sitting second and tied for third. Ball to the back post, and nice job there by Hatcher giving way to Schneble. Good communication in that United PDX defense. No surprise, they are the top defense in the league. Evans trying to float that one in. This is a errant back pass. Nothing untoward there. You're not going to call that as illegal touching, as Joseph Raymond accidentally played that directly back to his keeper. Far side, this is McKenna. Looking for options into the midfield for Stapleton. Goes all the way out wide. That was Stein, who was given the yellow for his confrontation with Schneble. And this is the substitute Waltz. Almost 30 minutes in, and very different game from Wednesday for United PDX. We expected this would be far more competitive, but a huge game where both teams, I'm sure, would be okay with the point today, but neither wants to be the team that comes out of this with a loss, and either falls further behind if you're United PDX or falls out of a playoff spot if you're West Seattle. Only 2 of the 8 teams here in the Northwest Division will head to the 35-team USL2 playoffs. Now for another throw, and it'll be Rangel, excuse me. Rangel making his 3rd start of the summer. Finn battles for the header, bounces around, and over the near side for Rangel. Wants the run of Stein, 2 players back, and that's not a battle you're probably going to win too often with Hatcher and McDowd back. Augie looking to cut inside and able to get past the first man, but the second defender coming over. Stein heading it into the path there of Tezuka, and Hatcher will win the second ball. Pushed out wide. Good sliding tackle as Walt is dispossessed by Barres. Out wide for Finn. Finn has 3 runners. Will play to the middle for Augie. Has the overlapping run of Muhammad and sees him, but plays it a little bit too far out wide, and Mo has to readjust. Mo 1v1, which is it for Evans. Lots of options in the box. Who will we want to pick out? Eventually he'll recycle and find Augie. Augie with a man in front of him looking to drive. And he'll send a low cross all the way through the box, and they're going to say that one went out for a goal kick.
No, I think they're saying there was a foul there.
Maybe a little bit of a grab. It looks like it was either Finn or Peterson who had a chance at possibly putting it in, but this little cross there from Augie was able to hit it low and hard. And no one from West Seattle able to get a piece of it. On the restart, headed around, and one thing that's definitely evident in this game that was not the case on Wednesday is West Seattle's doing a much better job than we saw from Capital FC Atletico of winning those first and second balls.
Yeah, the first and second ball is always critical for a game to build some momentum. Both teams are actually playing this long ball over the top or looking for it, which I find very interesting, again, based on the conditions. But the reality is United's getting some good runs. The defense on West Seattle is not strong.
Barres is offsides. Well, not only are they not one of the better units in the league, having given up 21 goals through their first 9 games, they're also a team that's missing some of their better defenders. So this is a defense that you want to test a little bit more than maybe they did in the first game up in Seattle, which it ended in 1-1, in that the attackers are better today for United PDX. They have more of their full team. And also, West Seattle's missing some key pieces, especially in that back four. This is Tezuka, met by Mo Muhammad, and really well done by Mo, preventing any possible foul and just winning it cleanly. Here's Hatcher with Tezuka putting a little bit of pressure on him, tries to play it up the line. It goes right back for Tezuka. Stein asking for it. Flipped it back for Stapleton, and now out wide. This is Rangel. Rangel into no man's land, and Mo Muhammad will win it. Evans looking up, has one option in Finn, and will wisely play the turf there for Giesen. You hear a lot of chatter right now from the field as United PDX tries to talk their way out of this spot on the field with good consistent pressure coming from West Seattle. They're not going to make anything easy on United PDX tonight. It's the long ball looking for Knapp, who's brought down, and the referee waves that off as he was up against a pair of bigger players, and he's not going to get the call.
Yeah, he's called worse ones than that, so it's kind of interesting he's not calling them all.
Stein into the path of Rangel. Here comes McDowd to face up with Rangel, who'll leave it to the top of the box. Shot from distance, and that one hits the upright from Kobayashi.
Yeah, there again, just put the pressure on them. Let them have those shots from out there, you know, when they're under pressure, because they're not getting much quality out of them. But it'd be nice to see the United playing, you know, sweeping the ball back and forth to the different wingers so we can get around the back. You know, you can see that they're making these great diagonal runs. They're making late runs up front, which is really open them up and giving them opportunity. Just the quality of pass, just a little too long.
Nearing the 33rd minute here, still scoreless. West Seattle does have a pair of shots on target. Schnebley saved the first. The second was cleared off the line by McDowd. 4 yellow cards, already a first half sub due to an injury for West Seattle. There's been lots to talk about as that's just out of the reach of PC. Does feel like United PDX is having success up until they get to the box. That's the one area, that final pass.
That final
hasn't quite
pass.
been there.
Yeah, you're exactly right. That final pass is a little bit too far ahead of the player, or it's just, it's just not as much quality as we'd like to see on it. But, the good news is they're trying. They're risking opportunities, and I think that will pay off.
Schnebley for McDowd. And McDowd, who's done a good job with Ludwig out of the lineup these past 2 games, floats it. And that was maybe a bit too ambitious, as Martin will head that one just in case he didn't have time. And we have a foul that, honestly, Jimmy, I didn't expect to be called. This is the second or third one that seemed like 50-50 contact. Not going to complain as United PDX gets a free kick from a decent area. Not necessarily shooting, but you can play a good ball into the box. Yeah,
the first one, when Knapp got down, was more of a foul than that one, and he calls that one. So I think the referee's a little inconsistent, which takes a little bit of the rhythm out of the game. So this is where the experience of the players have just got to find their groove. They've got to stay disciplined and take their chances when they can. This is a very good opportunity and a good place to get something good out of it.
Evans the right-footed option, Barres the left-footed options. Evans scored on a free kick outside the box, but it was much more central and a little bit closer. This one probably wouldn't bother Lucas Martin too much. Barres runs over it. Evans will float it towards the back post, bouncing around. McDowd has a look. A second opportunity. Players take it out, and the penalty is given. That was Peterson, who was taken out right at the edge of the 6th. Martin can't believe it. And the foul, I believe, was on Mani Diop. McDowd doing just enough to center that ball, and Peterson taken out on the wet turf. And this is a huge penalty opportunity here in the 35th minute. Who else? It's going to be Connor Evans to step up to take it.
Yeah, again, that was a good set play, right? So they good run from Barres, takes a player out of the game because it goes to and certainly leaves space to get that ball in. It was a tantalizing little ball over the top, forces the keeper out, and then obviously drops for Peterson, who then gets fouled.
It'll be Evans, who scored 3 times in the last game, 1 from open play, 1 off a free kick, and 1 from a penalty in stoppage time, looking for his 4th goal in the last 2 games and to give his team the lead here. Evans versus Martin, who had a big penalty kick stop in the 87th minute on Wednesday. So both players have had success this week. Evans, the Stanford graduate, against Martin, the D2 player out of Fort Lewis, and Evans is able to slip it through. 1-0 United PDX here in the 36th minute, and how huge is that, Jimmy, to not only get an opportunity, but to take that lead despite maybe not generating as they had on Wednesday.
Yeah, he took it really well, took it low. The keeper actually made the right choice, but it was a good, powerful, low shot, and it is an important place. Like we're 35 minutes into the game, you want to be 1-0 up. This is a really good place. Now this is about discipline. Keep your game, keep going forward, keep attacking, and let's see if the floodgates open.
The 10th goal of the season here at home for United PDX versus just 3 on the road. So they have really played well here at home and still have 2 home games left as they try to keep this unbeaten mark at Lincoln High School. Mo Muhammad for Evans, and while that 1-goal lead is huge, these next 5 and let's say 10+ minutes pivotal in this game as United PDX looks to keep the lead going into the break.
And I love they got the ball back quickly, right? Because you want possession. When you score a goal, the other team gets it, you want to make sure you get it back quickly so you show them that you're in control of the game.
1-0 United PDX. It's controlled here by McDowd. McDowd making a marauding run. He's taken out, and just a foul. I almost thought a card would come out on Riki Kobayashi there. It's a good run from McDowd, who we don't see venture forward too often. Now Evans will get a free kick from maybe a few yards further back, but more centrally. And 1 is nice. 2 would be even better here for United PDX against a really tough team in the Northwest Division here, West Seattle.
Well, West Seattle is still going to keep moving. They're still going to keep trying to put pressure on us. But so we've got to bury them now while we have momentum.
2-man wall just in case there's a potential shot here from Evans or Barres. Evans will again loft it, looking for the shot of Hatcher, who sent it just wide, and they are going to say an offsides there on the big center back, Michael Hatcher, who scored in the last game on the final touch, and that time may have gone just a bit early. Another really good delivery, though, from Connor Evans.
Yeah, I mean, these little floaters today will work well because they're just a little bit they're flat at the back, West Seattle. So if we can keep making these late runs, diagonal runs, these balls over the top will work today.
Foul called against West Seattle, much to their chagrin. Muhammad on the turf for Peterson, who drew that foul that led to the penalty kick. Being the 39th minute, 1-0 on Connor Evans' fourth goal of the week. Fourth goal of the season as well. I don't think USL2 gives out a player of the week nationally, but if they did, Connor Evans would certainly be in the running. He's the only player on the team who's played in every game this summer, and he has been a key part of this team for Troy Reddy and Matt Broadhead. Evans, who played 4 years at Stanford from 2020 to 2023, as the referee stepped close to that ball, and Jackson Finn thought there should have been a whistle. Didn't really see it touch the referee there, but certainly may have impacted Finn's ability to play it. I don't want to harp on this referee, who I wouldn't want to be in that central position, but certainly when you give out cards early, it can set a little bit of a precedent, as we've seen 4 cards, 2 on each side, and this will go out for a throw-in for West Seattle.
Yeah, and the referee's been just inconsistent. So, I mean, the ones that we think are free kicks, or that he's not called them, and then he's called ones that we're like, oh, that's a fair play or 50-50 ball. So the referee's got to create a little bit more consistency today.
On the throw-in, it'll be Damani McKenna. Bounces around, and McDowd, who had that big goal line clearance in about the 25th minute, will clear that one out. How big would that have been if West Seattle had been able to score at that mark? Because that's a really nice read, and going the other way with it is Peterson, who had dropped back. Peterson with 2 options to his left, stumbles, and eventually is dispossessed. Trying to avoid giving the foul. That was a good play by Julian Kerr, the midfielder, who was able to slow Peterson down. One right back by Evans, slipping it through, looking for Peterson. Another player slips. A player goes down. That's Kerr again, and we've got a foul on Evans. Looks like this wet turf could play an impact in this game, although it doesn't appear to be raining at this point.
No, but the ground's still going to be a little slick, so they've got to play with a little bit more crisp, a little bit more quality. 2 feet, it would be more preferred.
On the restart, Lucas Martin, who's showing off that tremendous leg. Had a great freshman year at Fort Lewis, 12-4-4 in 20 starts with 3 shutouts. Led his team to a conference regular season title. He's been the preferred starter this summer for Eric Oman. Seattle actually has a fun tidbit on their coaching staff. Former Panama captain and Seattle Sounder Roman Torres is listed as a coach and player mentor. Apparently he's been traveling with the team to a lot of their games. Not here tonight, but it must be really cool for those players to get to work with a former pro and a former international who I'm sure is having a lot of fun watching the Copa America. On the turf. Obviously, Panama had a huge win over the USA on the men's side this past week, 2-1, and right now the favorites to finish second in the group behind Uruguay. That group will finish up on Monday. Ball pushed up the far side and just out of bounds, unable to keep it in with Evans. Into the 42nd minute. Probably going to see a fair amount of stoppage time, even for the first half stoppage time, as we had an injury, a goal, a PK, and quite a few cards. So I think that we'll probably see 4 or 5 minutes rather than the standard 1 to 2. Muhammad with space. And he'll like to play it back here for Hatcher. Muhammad now in the middle for Evans, and a little bit of pressure coming. Forces the errant pass. as Evans and Tezuka got into it. Tezuka still down behind the play. Long ball looking for Julian Kerr. And a nice job by Muhammad where, Jimmy, it feels like Mo Muhammad is a guy who maybe falls a little bit outside the limelight because he's not a guy who gets into the attack a ton, but he's just so solid in that right back position.
Yeah, I think he's one of the most successful, consistent players they have, and he's got a little bit of magic. I like his game. He plays very conservative at times, and then he's not afraid to go forward.
Muhammad, who plays his collegiate soccer up in Seattle at Division I Seattle University, 49 collegiate games, 31 starts in his first 3 years, 2 goals and 8 assists. Scored goals this past season against UNLV and Oregon State. We have all of the West Seattle players, or the available subs, warming, and now United PDX has their full retinue as well. Don't expect any changes here before halftime, but we've seen Troy Reddy especially be willing to make multiple subs right at the break. Schnebley, who's only been tested on target the one time, but certainly seen the more shots towards his net. To the middle for Finn, who, again, it has been more of that holding center forward than a target center forward today, but been very active. Far side, Barres looking to get a cross off the back of a defender. That was Waltz, and out for a throw as we're into the final 70 seconds of the opening 45.
And I'm really liking the way United's coming out in this game and how their momentum has come up in the last few games. I love seeing Jackson Finn coming out from a forward into the midfield area to receive the ball, even if he's just getting it to pass it back. What he's doing is forcing their defenders to think, and it's creating more space for them. This is well played.
Muhammad from distance, and that one's knocked down by Raymond, but talk about Mo Muhammad being so solid. Let that one rip from 25, 30 yards out. Didn't make it past the first line of the defense, but it would have been an interesting look if that had gotten through, if would have bothered Lucas Martin. Foul goes against United PDX. Lucas Martin has been busy with these goal kicks, these free kicks in his own defensive third. Certainly has the leg to boot this one towards the 18-yard box. But first header is won by Peterson, and Finn gets a head on it, and Diop will go right back to his keeper. We are into first half stoppage time. The lone goal coming in the 36th minute from Connor Evans on a penalty kick after Drew Peterson was taken out by Monty Diop off a free kick. Finn with options, looking for Peterson, who was offside in behind the final defender. And that one, he was just kind of in between the two passes. Giesing would have been on, making that secondary run.
Yeah, well, it was a good run, but it was too early. You know, Finn hadn't got the ball and he started to move forward, and then he had to control it. And so really Finn should have been just, all right, I've got to settle it down, look for my midfield players, but, you know, not a bad option. And you know what? And if they can keep getting around the back and keep getting the defense to make these decisions, I think that is success for United.
Jimmy, the one thing I would say is it seems like United PDX, in turning the tide a little bit here in the final 10-15 minutes, is starting to win more of those first and second balls.
It's critical, and I'm glad you brought that up, because that's what I was just noticing myself, is those balls coming over. Because there's, you know, West Seattle's putting a lot of balls over the top, right? So we're winning the first one and we're winning the second, right? So as long as they can keep that up, this is where they'll start to control the game, because then you can settle it down and you can play your game, and that is a good that's a good place to be.
Brandon Knapp taken out by Damani McKenna, leading to a free kick. Minute and a half into first half stoppage time. This one is booted long. 2 blue shirts in the vicinity. It's going to be Knapp who gets the first touch to it. Knapp chests it down, leaving in the vicinity. Giesing looking and putting it just high. What a goal that would have been. 2 of the smaller players on the field going amongst the trees, and really nice job. I was a little surprised to see Brandon Knapp up front today, but that's kind of the skill that he can provide.
Yeah, and he's making late runs. That was a good play there. He got around the back. Great touch from Knapp. And then nice little touch off there.
And that's the kind of depth that you need. We've talked about the depth coming off the bench, but Knapp starting today has been coming off the bench in the second half as a reserve defender as we have finished the first half just over 2 minutes of stoppage time. If you can get contributions like this from Knapp when you have games Wednesday, Saturday, Tuesday, Friday next week, Friday being on the road, you're going to need more than just your starting 11. In fact, you're probably going to need more than just your normal 18 with guys being unavailable at points, and this has been a really nice performance. We weren't sure what we would see out of guys like Knapp or Giesing or even Barres playing either in different roles or starting instead of coming off the bench, but I think you can point to all 11 players for United PDX and find positives here in the first half.
Yeah, I think that was a good half, right? Obviously, they got a 1-0 win out of that half, but they've also been they've just played really well. Good, solid performance. The only thing they've got to be careful of is when they go forward, especially from the back, Barres and stuff, they're leaving gaps in the back, which is giving West Seattle an opportunity to go at us, right? So they've got to make sure when Barres or a defender, Momo goes forward, they've got to get one of the midfield players just to step in and just defend that area.
Let's recap the first half, bring you a look at our sponsors before we take an audio break. Yellow cards issued to Drew Peterson and Rowan Schnebley for United PDX, for Jason Stein and Julian Rangel of West Seattle. Jake Lafort was forced off early on that challenge from Drew Peterson. So one of the starters came off for West Seattle. They brought on Preston Waltz. The lone goal coming at 35:05. Connor Evans, the penalty kick for United PDX after Mani Diop took out Drew Peterson. And now let's take a look at our sponsors who make all of this possible, doing just a great product available to us for these United PDX games. It all starts with Core Water. Enhanced with electrolytes and minerals, Core Hydration helps you stay feeling your best. Core Water. Level Beer. Brewing subtle, balanced, and traditional beers with a healthy mix of New World ales and lagers thrown in for good measure. Level Beer. And finally, Elite Real Estate. Serving Oregon and Southwest Washington, and now open in Vancouver, we are Elite. Come on in. That's Elite Real Estate. My name's Seth Orensky, joined by Jimmy Clarke. We'll be back, let's say, in 11 minutes, as we are just about 13 minutes to go in halftime. It's United PDX leading West Seattle Junction at the break, 1-0. a minute. And welcome back to Portland, Oregon for this USL2 Northwest Division game. It's United PDX leading it 1-0 at the break. Before we bring some more halftime analysis, let's take a look at our sponsors one more time. It all starts with Core Water, enhanced with electrolytes and minerals. Core Hydration helps you stay feeling your best. Core Water. Level Beer, brewing subtle, balanced, and traditional beers with a healthy mix of New World ales and lagers thrown in for good measure. Level Beer. And finally, Elite Real Estate, serving Oregon and Southwest Washington and now open in Vancouver. We are Elites. Come on in. Seth Orensky joined by Jimmy Clarke. And Jimmy, my first question is about what you think the conversation was like in that United PDX locker room at halftime. What is Troy Reddy going to focus on? He's got the lead, but certainly a lot of time left in this game, and this is a strong West Seattle Junction side.
Well, I think he's going to say, possession. Keep the ball. Keep doing what you're doing. I mean, it's not like they're playing poorly. They're doing actually really, really well. And I would say get more runs around the outside, around the back, get some crosses in, because there's a lot of mistakes that can be made on a night like this when the ground's slick. And so those balls over the top are okay as long as they're weighted perfectly, and they've got to get shots off on goal. That's what I would be telling them when you're around the box, because anything could happen. It could deflect off a player. It hits the ground and it flies off, right? The other thing, too, is quality of passing. Play to feet when you're playing in the midfield area and you're coming up from defense. That's what I would be saying to the team.
As they've been prone to do, 2 halftime substitutes. Troy Reddy immediately looking for a spark off the bench. Vova Kubrikov is one of them, and I can tell you that because you can't miss Vova's blonde hair. I believe the other one is going to be Jamin Gogo Peters, the super sub who played a huge role in that game against Ballard FC last Friday. But we'll double check on that one and see who's come off the field for United PDX. We'll also try to get you any substitutes for West Seattle, who did use one first half sub due to an injury to Jake Larson. They had to make some adjustments in the lineup. So we take a look for United PDX. So we've got Anthony Godinez into the game instead of Jamin Gogo Peters. Godinez has been a consistent starter. The junior out of Hillsboro, Oregon, attends Utah Tech, so he is into the game alongside Vova. It looks like Drew Peterson, who did have one of those yellow cards, is out, which may have just been trying to potentially avoid a second yellow card. And we'll see who came off for Godinez, who does appear to be playing left back. So do they take off Loic Barres completely, or do they move him somewhere else on the field? That's the question, as United PDX will have it first, going from right to left, and McDowd will boot it long. Jimmy, it does look like Loic's day is done.
Yes, it does.
So Godinez, who scored his first goal of the season in the last game off what was supposed to be a long pass into the box that floated in at the back post to make it 2-0. But Godinez back in, and now it's what we've seen the back four be the last 2 games. And with the exception of McDowd, who's been playing behind Ludwig, this has been the preferred back four for head coach Troy Reddy here in the second half of the season. And this is the best defense in the league by quite a margin. 7 goals better in terms of goal differential than Ballard FC, who sits first in the league and second defensively. Kubrikov with his first touch, but it's deflected away and cleared out as far as Hatcher. Muhammad able to save it for Evans, who floats it into space with only West Seattle players, and eventually played by Rangel up ahead for Tezuka. And it'll bounce around. This is not a West Seattle team that has a ton of size, but they have been looking to play Route 1 soccer. And Tezuka and Stein, their 2 forwards, have done a nice job of winning some first balls and putting pressure on this United PDX defense. This is Knapp, who loses possession. Jason Stein slipping it back in the midfield for Kerr. Julian Kerr, who out of Hermosa Beach, California, but played in England on the U18 Scholar team in League 2. Sophomore at University of Wisconsin, didn't play as a freshman. McDowd for Hatcher and pushing it up the sideline there for Evans, who will leave this one on the turf for Kuberkov. Vova has been a consistent starter lately, comes off the bench in this one. And Kuberkov, high energy winger. Trying to fight his way through three players there was Kobayashi. And the Division III player out of Whitman College draws the foul, and now too quick of a restart. We're going to ask Knapp to back up and talk about the teams, maybe talking things out. It's also a chance at halftime for the referees to kind of, hey, what are we doing well? What are some things we can work on? And I'm sure that group wants to settle in, because the last thing you want, if you're a referee, if you're a fan, if you're a player, is to have the referees seem to impact the game. And this is a massive final 45 minutes. The second of two meetings, teams split the points with the 1-1 tie back on May the 26th. And West Seattle sitting second, and United PDX with games in hand sitting in a tie for third with Tacoma Stars. This is a massive game in the Northwest Division. Off the throw-in, looking for Kobayashi, and floated back out. No one in the vicinity, as Finn had dropped there playing defense. Tezuka trying to leave it off for Kobayashi. Instead it goes the other way with Finn. Has Kuberkov ahead of him, looking to make that run, and he'll float it up the sideline. Joseph Raymond comes over and will chip it out, as he had options, but just plays the safe ball, and it'll be a United PDX throw. Pass a little bit strong for Evans, who comes back to get it. Tezuka light on the pass, and just feels like both teams, it's a little bit of a feeling out period here in the second half, as we have a foul called despite the fact that United PDX had the ball. We have not seen advantage played today consistently for either side.
Yeah, that's right. The referee, like I said, he's they go back to your question about what they should have been talking about and what they should do better. Reality is right there. He's got to let that play. Even on the free kick from West Seattle earlier on, he should let them play. Even though Nat was on the ball, he's got to let the momentum of the game go.
Gonanez back for McDowd, and again, seeing that West Seattle constant press. They're going to have one of those two forwards up top badger the center backs, badger the goalie, and not make them have a ton of, not let them have a ton of time on the ball, as Hatcher is pushed off, no call. This was Kerr with it. Julian Kerr dribbles his way through pressure, floats it out to the far side. Couple bodies in the box. The cross will be knocked down, and did Schnebley keep it from being a corner kick? The AR said he did not, but the head referee says play on. Which is interesting, because West Seattle felt like they should have had a corner kick there. Muhammad for Augie in the middle, all the way out wide for Gonanez. Gonanez with options to his right. Low ball all the way through. That was Evans looking for a fifth goal of the week. It did not miss by much.
Yeah, that was a good play, actually. You know, I like the fact they got the ball across the field as quickly as they did. That ball was a tantalizing pass, right? And so we just got to die a little bit harder there to get on the box, get on the end of it.
Evans with a cheeky little backheel flick for Hatcher. Now McDowd on the turf for Evans, who does have the lone goal in this one. Penalty kick goal in the 26th minute. Evans has the run of Muhammad if he wants him. Long ball towards the corner flag. Can Mo run it down? Slides it on the turf, and Diop gets there first and will play it out for a throw. In the first half, they were utilizing Loic Barres. Here it's Mo Muhammad on the opposite side, making the good run and putting some pressure on that defense. And
the quality of passing going forward on those balls over the top have really improved. They're solid.
Kuberkov for Mohammed, and now Evans. Evans, who's always been a strong defensive presence for this United PDX team, has really had himself a pair of very good offensive games the last two times out. bit of a maestro in the midfield with some of the passes that he's come through with. So we've got a whistle and telling Kuberkov, let's move along. Potential time wasting in the 52nd minute. Muhammad there looking for Finn, headed away by Diop. Pushed out wide. This is Waltz, flicked on by Stein, and McDowell gets there first. Augie for Kuberkov. Vova out of Luhansk, Ukraine. Plays collegiately at the University of San Diego. For Godinez, back post, heading through! It's Jackson Finn who gets his name on the score sheet for the first time this year. What a ball by Anthony Godinez.
Well, Godinez has really made his impact in this game really quickly. That's 3 times now he made great runs around the outside, good crosses. That was a brilliant timed run with a superb ball cross there. What a great finish. Those are not easy to get.
53rd minute, and it is 2-0
28,
United
Jackson
PDX. Finn, his first of the season from Godinez. And Jimmy, that might have been the nicest goal that we've seen during this homestand. 2 against Ballard, 5 against Capital FC Atletico, and now 2 today. But that was such a pinpoint pass. Jackson Finn didn't have to do much with it, just redirecting it past the goalie.
Yeah, I mean, the run was perfect, right? You still got to run to get there. So, I mean, I'm not going to take anything away from Jackson there. He did a brilliant run, even though the ball was superb cross and a great finish.
We do have a substitution after the goal. It is Marcos Bravo, the junior forward out of Wenatchee, Washington, who scored twice this summer, including a game-winning goal against Tacoma Stars 2 games ago. He plays at NAIA Eastern Oregon, and he's onto the pitch. Second substitute that Eric Oman has used today. We'll see if that's a like-for-like substitute with maybe Tezuka as Stein has stayed on, or if they're changing the formation and putting a third body up front. McKenna for Waltz, the first half sub, asking for a handball on Godinez, not going to get it, and it'll be out for United PDX throw. Godinez, a goal in the last game, an assist today, and another second half substitute. It just has seemed to be the case throughout this homestand where Troy Reddy's pulling the right strings, a player comes on. The other day, the first game of this homestand, it was Jamin Gogo Peters, a beautiful assist that led to the first goal of the game in a 2-1 win. In the game on Wednesday, it really felt like all the subs made an impact, especially Loic Barres, and here it's Godinez already with an assist as Giesing is able to keep that one in. Giesing sliding it on the turf for Evans, looking for Knapp, and Knapp is going to get there. Nope. They say the ball went out before he crossed it. It was caught by Martin either way. It does look like Tezuka has come off. So Leon Tezuka replaced one of the 2 starting forwards, and Marcos Bravo has joined Jason Stein up top for West Seattle Junction. And while their offense was slow to get going, 1 goal or fewer in each of their first 5 games, they've now scored 2 or more goals in 4 consecutive contests for United PDX, and that's a really great stat when they can still claim to be the only defense in the league to have given up 1 goal or fewer in every contest this season.
Yeah, this is not over. I think United could get a couple more goals based on what I'm seeing here from their performance. Both their ability to get forward, their ability to get those balls across over the top, as well as get around the outside. United's got lots of options today, and I think we might see a couple more goals if they continue at this same pace.
Well, this game's not over from a United PDX potential to score, as Giesing is clearly taken out by Kerr there, and a little surprised they didn't bring out, or at least have a conversation with Kerr as he drew him back. From the opposite perspective, if you're West Seattle Junction, this game's not over, but it's a larger hill to climb than if you're playing pretty much anyone else in this league, because goals have been so hard to come by against this United PDX team. Tied for first in the league with their 2 shutouts this year, and again, just 6 goals conceded. And this is game number 9. As that is an errant pass. Jason Stein will pick it up, has one option to his left and his right. Will play it into the path there of Kobayashi, and Hatcher gets there first. Just feels like those 2 chances in the first half. The shot from Stein from distance that was right at Schnebly, and then the shot from what we think was Kobayashi that was cleared off the line from McDowd. West Seattle Junction might look back at this game and say, man, we needed that first half goal, especially with their defense not being at full strength. As we have another foul close to the box. Vova is not happy with it, and I think we might see another yellow come out. And Vova Kuberkov, just into the game, is the 5th player with the yellow card today, and the 2nd player in that spot on the field. We saw Peterson call for a yellow in the first half. He was replaced by Kuberkov. And now 3 yellows for United PDX and 2 for West Seattle Junction. Big spot, 58th minute. The right-footed in-swinger from the far side towards the top of the 6, headed on by what looked like Evans, and it should be out for what, strangely enough, is our first corner kick of the game for either side.
That's interesting.
Almost 60 minutes in. Felt like we were seeing 2 to 3 corner kicks every 10 to 15 minutes on Wednesday against Capital FC Atletico, but this is the first corner of the game for either side, and it'll be taken by Julian Kerr. And we've got some pushing and shoving right in front of Schnebly. It's Evans against what I believe is Marcos Bravo.
We didn't come to watch you, referee!
The referee continues to chat. And this is one of those where, yes, you don't want the pushing and shoving to be over the top, but it's become a consistent part of every set piece at every level. As Kerr will send it towards the top of the 6 and headed wide. So that was a difficult look there, just rising up from Julian Rangel. Just felt like his body was falling backwards. Almost 60 minutes down. It's a 2-0 lead. Goals from Connor Evans in the 36th and Jackson Finn, a headed goal off a beautiful cross from Anthony Godinez early here in the second half in the 53rd minute. Have United PDX leading 2-0 as they look to earn yet another win here at home. They are 3-0-1 at home this year. They still have 2 home games after today. On the flip side, West Seattle Junction looking to avoid what would be their 3rd road loss of the year. Currently 1-2-2. Godinez for Knapp, and that one stayed in, but will not stay in as it rolls over the goal line. Seen the ball consistently run a little bit faster today on the wet turf than we're used to seeing. And Knapp, who can fly, just couldn't quite get there the second time. 2 players warming for United PDX. Jamin Gogo Peters, one of the 2. Seattle Junction doesn't have any more subs as both teams have used 2 of their available substitutes in this contest. Martin, who had no chance on that Jackson Finn goal on the free kick. This is Godinez. Back from McDowd, and now Evans. Long ball. Giesing in the vicinity. First header is won by McKenna and then pushed along by Waltz. For Bravo and settled by Kerr. That early 1-2-2 start to the season for United PDX starting to fade more and more as PDX looking for what would be their 4th consecutive win and 5th overall in the season. Still a good amount of time left, nearly 30 minutes. Pushed out wide for McKenna into the path of Stein, gets a little bit too far. Now Mo Muhammad has to clear that one up as Schnebly didn't come out, and it was Kobayashi making a late run. Second corner, and Kobayashi will take it. Nope, they'll let Kerr slowly trot over. Just feels like if United PDX can be strong on these set pieces, whether they be corners or free kicks, they're going to be in a really good spot to hold on to this game. Similar to Ballard, you can concede one as long as you don't give up those two. Kerr's right-footed cross gets all the way through, pinging around, and eventually Giesing able to clear it. For Augie. Augie doesn't really have anybody running too far forward and slips it just past Finn to the feet of Stein. Stein with goals in each of the last 3 games, 5 on the year. It's an ambitious shot from Kerr right into a blue wall. We go all the way back for Martin where West Seattle Junction resets. They had their chances in the first half. They haven't bothered Schnebly nearly as much here in the second. Rowan, the redshirt sophomore out of Portland, who's been really good not only for United PDX, but had a great freshman year at Stanford. Giesing with Kuberkov onside. 2 runners behind. Vova wants it himself, leaves it for Finn, and he scores! A brace for Jackson Finn, and just like that, 2 goals in the span of 10 minutes. It's 3-0 United PDX.
Yeah, and it's a great ball. If you see there, Giesing cut in with his right foot. Looked, he was patient, took a little fake, and then realized, all right, he is wide open, played it over to Vovo. Very unselfish there because he was a great run. It was a good opportunity for him to even go, but he had 2 late runners in there. Nice little touch and made it very easy to Finn to put that back in the net. He's got 2 goals, and we're 3-0 up. Love it.
More changes coming. Julian Kerr
Goal
will
for
be
United
off,
PDX. Number 28,
along with Brandon Knapp for United PDX, and I think that's going to be Jackson Finn's last touch of the game. Not too shabby. Jamin Gogo Peters will come on, along with, get you the second player.
You know, what I find very interesting, we've been talking about the last, the few games earlier on in the season where we're saying that there's nothing going forward. Can't get goals. They're struggling to create. And look what they've done in the last 3 games. All they've done is created so much opportunity, and they've become really offensive-minded. And you can see it paying off.
The 2 subs for United PDX, Jamin Gogo Peters, the junior forward out of Forest Grove. This is Isaiah Easley, the other one looking for Gogo Peters. Gogo Peters out of Brown University, where he's played in 32 games, made 19 starts in his first 2 years with Brown, 7 goals. And Isaiah Easley, who just won a national title last fall at Division I Clemson University. He'll be transferring to the D1 University of San Francisco in the fall. So 2 guys who started the last game come on here with about 30 minutes remaining in the second half. The new player on the opposing side, get the number right, I believe it's Eli Drion, the sophomore midfielder out of Seattle, Washington. Played 5 minutes in his freshman season at Gonzaga University. He came on for Julian Kerr. So 66th minute, 3-0. Jackson Finn scores his second and immediately heads to the bench. But for a guy who started this homestand having to work really hard without a lot of possession against Ballard, it's got to feel great for him to get not 1 but 2 goals off great service in this game.
Yeah, I mean, he's got that builds a little bit of confidence. And you know what? His runs today have been amazing. And I like the fact that he's been coming into midfield to get the ball, keep it simple, right? So I think that's made a huge difference for his game.
Oh, and by the way, United PDX has now given up just 1 goal in over 240 minutes as they dropped the ball after it touched the ref. This is Gogo Peters double team. So now another really strong defensive performance. We talk about the offense because it is blossoming here during this homestand, but this defense just continues to be so calm, so clean, and again is the strong point of this team because it means there's less pressure on the offense to score 4 or 5 goals. You don't need that to win. It's just a bonus. Yeah, if you can get your defense to continue to play as solid as they are, it gives you an opportunity to get those 1s and 2s goals, right? So, but today, or have we seen in the last few games,
They've been so offensively minded, very attacking, and they've got goals. You know, now they're starting to rain. They've got to start taking care of the ball. And so it's good that they're 3-0 up, because this is going to become a little bit more of a quality passing game.
This is the 4th consecutive game that United PDX has scored multiple goals in the second half. They had not scored multiple goals in a game in their first 5 games, and now they've done it in 4 straight home games. 12 goals, or 4 straight games, 3 of them at home. 12 goals in their last 3 games, and there's still over 20 minutes left, as this is easily playing into the path of Kuberkov. And Vove is pushed off the ball, and coming out is Lucas Martin. Also, what makes this more impressive is they went on the road and did it against Tacoma Stars, the team they're tied for 3rd with. They did it at home against Ballard FC, the 2nd best defense and top team in the league. And they're doing it to the team who's now 2nd in the league in West Seattle. This has not been an easy stretch on paper, and United PDX has been moving up in the standings, as that's a dangerous challenge there from Hatcher. They actually are playing advantage here, and Schnebley will make the catch. It's one of the rare times where I thought United PDX defender maybe made a move that wasn't completely thought out, as Hatcher, if he had gone fully through with that tackle, might have seen a different card. He still may see a yellow for that challenge, although see what the referee likes to do. Godinez, who has one of the assists today. Goals from Evans, Finn, and Finn. Assists from Godinez and Kuberkov. Kuberkov leaving it off for Mo Muhammad. To Giesing, who had a key role in that 3rd goal, setting up the play by finding Kuberkov in space. This is Gogo Peters. He's capable of dribbling through multiple players, but he'll leave it off for Evans. Now McDowell. Remember, United PDX will close out this 4-game homestand on Tuesday night, 7 against FC Olympia, their 2nd to last home game of the regular season. Hoping they can add a few home games during the USL2 playoffs if they get there. Evans looking for Augie, and it's Kuberkov battling for it. Able to find Giesing. Giesing with options to his left and right. Giesing still with it. Finds Gogo Peters, has a defender right in front, and it's in! Oh! Martin's going to want that one back off his left paw, and it's Jamin Gogo Peters in the 70th minute, 4-0. Gogo Peters has his first of the season, and Oliver Giesing gets a well-deserved assist.
Yeah, good play. Nice 1-2 touch right there. And then, you know, Gogo gets open there with his left. It wasn't a hard shot. But as I said to you, with this rain, slick ground, getting those kinds of shots, anything could happen, right? And you get to see that. Keeper actually got a hand on it, but it slipped right through his hand.
No shot's a bad shot as a forward, right?
No, no. Every shot is a good shot as long as it's on target.
Riki Kobayashi will come off. It looks like there are 2 players coming on. Trying to get the number of the 2nd player coming off. So Kobayashi, Preston Walt, who actually was a first-half substitute, will come off. It's going to be a 3-man change for West Seattle Junction, where right now you're down 4. I don't know if you're trying to get back into this game as much as just trying to find a spark here, as this has been all United PDX goals in the 53rd, 63rd, and 70th minutes. And this is exactly what you wanted to see if you were United PDX. Coming out strong in the second half. Well, they have dominated this second half, and United PDX is under 20 minutes of regulation away from moving into 2nd in the league, and that's the spot you want to be in. Find that top 2, get a spot in the USL2 playoffs. Obviously, they'd like to catch Ballard, who would still be 5 points ahead of them with a game in United PDX hand, but you make it to the top 2, you're still in the playoffs, as that is a heavy challenge by Gogo Peters, who slid, and they're going to call it the other way. Gogo Peters clearly lost his footing. I think that was Stein. I really expected that to go against United PDX, but
Red referee!
This is a very interesting call. I thought it was going to be card worthy.
Yeah, well, and the referee's made a lot of mistakes today. He's been so inconsistent. You just don't know what's going to happen there. But it did look like Gogo Peters, he lost his foot in, slipped a little bit, and this player's coming directly at him. So it's a collision, massive collision opportunity. Yeah, he's going to get a yellow now.
Yeah, so they will give a yellow to Jamin Gogo Peters, and I think that's a perfectly reasonable yellow to issue. Certainly wasn't Jamin's intent. The initial foul was pointed going the opposite way, which would be interesting because the player down, this was actually, I think it's Bravo, not Stein. And let's see which, yeah, they are going to give the free kick to West Seattle. So this is a decent opportunity, probably 33 to 35 yards out.
Yeah, and if I was sitting over that ball, what I would do is look for my gap, and then I would play a nice strike, low as I could, towards the corner, because it's slick. The ball's just going to spin right off.
You're going to bounce inside that 6-yard box, and that's really difficult on a goalie.
Yeah.
3-man wall. Kubrikov, I believe McDowd and Augie lining up in front of it. There are 2 men in there for West Seattle who are not being kind enough to show their numbers to us. This looks like...
They're making it hard on you, aren't they?
You know, they never think about the poor broadcasters. Eli Dreon is the option right in front of us with the blonde hair. He looks like he would be a left-footed option. The right-foot option is probably Jason Stein, number 33, who is their top goal scorer. Into the 73rd minute, a chance for West Seattle potentially get something going there. Looks like the referee just put a yellow card back in his pockets. We may have seen a yellow issued to someone on the bench as well. Good luck to whoever's having to keep track of this in a more reasonable manner than my very ugly looking notes. Clock had stopped at 72:01. It'll be Dree on the left footer right into the wall. That was McDowd. And the ball floated in only as far as Diop, and his shot floats high. It would have been good for a field goal or PAT, but not so much in soccer. And this will be out for another goal kick. And right now, the game's probably out of reach, but for that defense and for Rowan Schnebley, there's still something very much on the line.
Yeah, I mean, like you want to keep to your record, right? Low scores goes against you, right? So, of course, they're playing for pride at that point. But, you know, you've seen West Seattle really starting to put pressure, and, you know, they're going to try and hit it over the top and try and put a lot of, to get forward for them to get that goal back.
This is Stein, the cross into the box, knocked down by Evans. Pushed along by another one of those substitutes just into the game. That is Rico De La Rosa, Bellevue College player. Left-footed cross the back post. This is De La Rosa getting tangled up with Godinez, and the referees say play on. Now it's Gogo Peters working the sideline. Jamin just scored the 4th goal of the game. Jamin passed 2. Slows it down as Stapleton closed the angle and will play it back for Godinez. 74th minute, 4-0. Goals from Evans, a pair from Finn, and Gogo Peters cherry on top to make it 4-0. Second most goals scored this season by United PDX, only behind their game on Wednesday where they scored 5 against Capital FC Atletico, including 2 in stoppage time. 3rd corner kick of the half and of the game. This will be Aaron Stapleton to take it with Kerr on the bench. United PDX has not had a corner in this game. Hasn't hindered them, but a little bit of a strange tidbit. Stapleton to the near post. Evans got a head on it. At the back post, it's Godinez. And Godinez cleared out there, and it'll lead to a free kick. We've got some subs. I believe Davis King is going to come on for the 2nd straight game in place of Schnebley, as these two switch places right around the same time in the last game, and they had a combined shutout. King played his collegiate soccer at Division II Academy of the Art University in San Francisco before graduating in 2023. They'll also bring on number 8, Kevin Lowe, and number 17, Donovan McClellan, the junior out of Portland who plays at D2 Westminster. So Schnebley, who has a yellow card in this game, not that that was a huge worry, but he will come out. And Jimmy, I didn't see the other subs, but we'll try to figure out who was replaced by Lowe and McClellan. Lowe played his soccer at the University of San Francisco before graduating. It's another Portland native. Lucas Martin will dwell on the ball here. 15 minutes left in what would be a 4th straight win for United PDX, as we've got jersey pulling from Stein in that battle with Hatcher. I think one of the more impressive parts about what is now closing in on 170 consecutive minutes of scoreless soccer is the fact that this defense has been just as strong despite losing Ludwig, who had been the one constant in the back through the team's first 7 games. He's missed the last 2, and the defense hasn't taken a step backwards. Godinez temporarily lost it, got it right back. Now it's Lowe with the overlapping run of Godinez. Keeps on the turf this time, goes all the way through. PDX player on the turf. And they will not call that, as Vova is still down right in the penalty spot. Looks like he either got a forearm in the chest or maybe a strong jersey pull, and he's claiming, hey, I got elbowed right in the chest there, and there should have been a penalty given. So a penalty in the first half given to United PDX that resulted in a goal. Vova appears to be okay. To me, it really just appears as if United PDX is getting stronger with each game of this homestand, as now Lucas Martin becomes the 6th player issued a yellow. Not quite sure what he said there, but it was enough to get his name put in the book.
Yeah, it's good to see United each game get better and better and better. They seem confident and comfortable with each other. And as you know, as we said at the very beginning, they're a bunch of players that just got together and started to play. Now you can tell. Now they've got a rhythm. Coaches had time to create a good formation for them to play in and a good rhythm. And they're taking advantage of that. And each game, you're right, they get better and better and better.
And Matt Broadhead, the GM, has spoken about the fact that, hey, it took a while to get all of our players to Portland. Early in the season, this was a revolving door, as that free kick will go all the way over the goal line, in that there were a lot of different starters. You look at the first game, the first meeting between these two teams, Davis King, I believe, was in net as I get back to my notes. Yeah, it was Davis King in net for United PDX. Jaden Boughton for West Seattle. It's not as if these other teams aren't dealing with similar things, but only 7 of the starters in that first game are still players who we regularly see in the 18. Guys like Godinez, Finn, Peterson, who all played key roles in this one, were off the bench in that first game.
And what you've got to realize too is that we've got substitutes coming on, right? And they're not changing the rhythm of the game. Whereas, there are players that are not. When you bring your subs on, they change the dynamic of the game. We've not. They're coming on, and the rhythm is still there. The pace of the game is still there, and that is what. In fact, they've just raised the energy, haven't they? So it's been good.
Isaiah easily provides a different dynamic than Jackson Finn at the center forward spot, but it's not as if the team is suffering from any way from that substitution.
That's right, and you're seeing it across the field, all over. In midfield, defense, with Godinez, you've got all of that.
We are into the 80th minute of what we thought was going to be a really close game, a really tense game. It was close for a while, scoreless into the 36th minute, 1-0 at halftime, but then goals in the 53rd, 63rd, and 70th minute made this 4-0 and a chance for more as Easley couldn't quite keep the ball on his foot, and Martin, who has just been so aggressive coming off his line all game long, comes out and makes the challenge. Davis King, who's just been steady Eddie off the bench in these last 2 games as the backup keeper. Obviously, Davis would like to play more, but it's hard when you're playing behind a player like Rowan Schnebley, who's in form for both club and school. I mean, had a tremendous freshman year, redshirt freshman year, I should say, at Stanford. Just a redshirt sophomore this fall, and I'm sure he'll be a big player for the Cardinal once again. Headed out, and it'll be a throw-in for United PDX. We're thinking about the MVP for this game, and I think this game is probably a little bit harder than the last 2 because you could pick so many of the players that have come on in this game. I mean, Jackson Finn scoring the 2 goals, but how about Anthony Godin as, again, part of that defense who have played so well?
Yeah, I think Momo's made a massive difference in this game as well. He's always looked to create, and he's been solid in the back. We've got, the defense have been solid. There's no question about that. So
I really liked Oliver Giesing today in a rare start in the midfield. I thought he played extremely well. Drew Peterson drew the penalty on that first goal. It's a nice problem to have when there's not an immediate answer, even in a 4-0 game with the player scoring a brace. This has been another great team performance from United PDX. They've talked about the fact that they want to build from the back and have that strong defensive core. They've talked about the fact they want to score by committee. Well, they're still doing that, but it's nice to see players like Evans score 4 goals in 2 games, and now Finn with 2 in this one. As this was finally the first corner kick of the game, the one thing United PDX hasn't been able to do when it comes to the 82nd minute.
Yeah, if I was to pick someone, I would say Finn, simply because what I've liked to see him from the very beginning to the end here, he was always showing as a forward into the midfield plays to get it off. He was making great runs. He's created a lot of opportunities for United, and obviously got the 2 goals. So, that would be my choice.
And it doesn't hurt that he's a forward. You're a forward, and it's great.
I know what it takes.
Yeah, well, it's not easy putting the ball in the back of the net. There's a reason why even the best forwards are going to miss far more opportunities than they score, but it's those ones they put in the back of the net everyone remembers. Jackson Finn with 2 very pretty goals today, 2 great team goals. Again, Jason Stein has not stopped running for West Seattle. This team credit in their first year of USL2 play. They've got some talented players, as this is another long ball floated in, and just as he's done all game long, Lucas Martin coming hard off his line, and he'll cut down that opportunity as McKenna is going to draw the foul there on Easley, who all he can do is shrug. Looking ahead for United PDX, they play FC Olympia, who's up to 6th in the league after a win last night on Tuesday. That's July the 2nd. And then they head down to Salem on Friday to play Capital FC. So another 2-game week next week. And the hope with 2 teams below you in the standings, if you can keep this win streak, if you can get 6 more points, all of a sudden you can really put yourself in a good spot to not only be sitting in 2nd place, but maybe to have a nice little edge going into the final week of the regular season.
Well, and it's always good as you're getting closer to the end of the season or you're going into playoffs to find your rhythm and find, your offensive approach, because you're solid defense. And so it's great to see that you get momentum as you get closer to the end. It makes the playoffs a little bit more exciting.
United PDX still has to go up to Ballard FC in what will be a really difficult game. Let's be honest. United PDX earned the win here 2-1 in a game that Ballard FC was the stronger side in the first half before United PDX scored twice in the second half and held on late after Ballard FC scored in the 87th. They also have trips to Lane United and Capital FC Atletico, and one final home game. That'll be on July the 9th. So each of the next Tuesdays we'll have home games for you. PDX finished tied for third a year ago, looking to wrap up that top 2 spot. Gonanez for Evans. Finds the knee there of Easley, the Hawaii native. Floats it all the way out for Mo Muhammad, and I haven't really talked about it, but Mo plays up in Seattle, and this has to feel, these games against those Seattle-based teams, has to be a little bit of extra on the line for Mo, as he has a chance to play against lots of players that he knows from the collegiate level, or even maybe playing pickup during the offseason.
Yeah, it's always good. I remember the days when I played in the areas, and I knew the players. Yeah, I wanted to win. I wanted some bragging rights,
We can't hear it, but I'm sure there's a little bit of trash talk going on. I don't know if Mo's that kind of player, but there's certainly other players on the field that are talking trash if Mo's not that kind of player.
Well, you've been seeing a lot of hard hits today, so especially West Seattle's a little frustrated. They want to get back into this game. They want to get some goals. So yeah, and obviously the referee's not made it a very good game either.
Well, and West Seattle's had a frustrating week in that they tied FC Olympia, a team further down the standings, on Wednesday, put even more pressure on them in this game, whereas United PDX took care of business, 5-0 win, made it a little bit easier. It's always tougher to go on the road in a league like this. You're probably, you're not doing what they do in the Premier League, where you're traveling with 3 buses and every man gets 2 seats themselves. It's a strong league, and these teams are well funded, but it's not a professional league. It's pre-professional for a reason. We'll see a free kick right along the sideline. We're in the 87th minute. 4-0 United PDX. Goals from Connor Evans at the 36th. Jackson Finn, his first goal in the 53rd minute off a great pass from Anthony Godinez, a pinpoint header. Then in the 63rd, it was Finn from Vova Kuberkov on the cutback. Very unselfish from Vova. And then in the 70th minute, Jamin Gogo Peters off the pass from Giesing. Long run here from Easley, and Martin gets there first. Gonanez looking for Lowe. Lowe on the turf for McClellan, who would have been off, and it'll go back to West Seattle. For West Seattle, the positive is they have 3 games left, so they don't have any games in hand, but they're all at home. And they've played better at home, and they're going to need to play well. 9 points left up for grabs for West Seattle Junction as they look to make a playoff push. Long ball, looking for a player who was offside. Davis King made the catch nonetheless. It does feel like, especially with the teams 1 through 5, but even those teams at the bottom, you can't guarantee 3 points against any team. If United PDX on Tuesday or Friday overlooks their opponents and takes them lightly, we could have a really close game in the second half. And the same thing for West Seattle. They've dropped, or they only were able to take 1 of 6 points this year against Capital FC Atletico. That could be the difference between them finishing second or finishing 4th or 5th. Yeah,
well, we saw United play against, Capital and do well, right? So, they didn't go in resting. They played Ballard, and then they played, the Capital team, and who was the bottom of the league, and they played really well against them. So they didn't come out and rest on their laurels. They came out and fought to win that. So it does show United has the character to understand the importance of each game.
Yeah, that game on the 9th, I was trying to remember, it's against Tacoma Stars, a team that's United PDX started this winning streak against with that 2-1 win up in Tacoma. But that's a big game on the 9th because Tacoma currently tied with United PDX on 14 points. And Tacoma Stars' quality is evident in that they took 4 of 6 points this year from Ballard. One of only 2 teams, United PDX and Ballard, or United PDX and Tacoma, who's beaten Ballard this season, the top team in the league. So there's still a couple tough games left in the United PDX standings schedule in terms of top teams in the standings, but they're going to have to take every one of those games and treat it like a playoff game with 5 games remaining after tonight.
Yep.
But this would be huge. 12 points from the last 4 games. You can't ask for anything more. And with a win today, they would move into sole possession of second place with 17 points from 9 games. They're moving closer and closer to that great mark of 2 points per game. If you can play 2 points per game soccer, you're going to be a very good team, and typically you're going to be right there at the top of the table. See a throw in from the far side. We're into stoppage time. Don't expect we're going to get that much. This has just been, it's felt like the last 10 minutes or so, we've kind of been playing out the game, and we had 23 seconds of stoppage time. Not complaining up here. Jimmy, we thought this could be a close game. We knew the quality of West Seattle both on paper and seeing in the first half. They were the better team for, I'd say, the first 25, maybe even 30 minutes. What changed, or what did United PDX do, in your opinion, that helped them come away with a little bit of a laugher victory?
Well, I think they took advantage of the weakness, I think, of West Seattle's back, right? Because they would play, they were making great late runs and playing good balls over the top. Now, granted, because of the ground, it swept through, may have gone off for a goal kick or into the goalkeeper's hands. But what they were doing, they was turning their defense down, turning the defense around. And then what they started to do was start playing and getting around the outside, and that's where we saw a few of those goals come in, right? So I kudos to United for this overall performance, because I think they played it right. I was very interested with those subs at the very beginning. It was a different dynamic for a team coming into it, but guess what? Each one of those players did great, and then you had some amazing substitutes coming and make a massive difference.
Absolutely. We were surprised by the lineup, but clearly Troy Reddy knows which strings to pull. Let's take a look at our sponsors before we take an audio break. We will have an interview with Troy Reddy and our MVP coming up, probably about 4 to 5 minutes. Let them take their time getting up to the press box level. Our first sponsor is Core Water. Enhanced with electrolytes and minerals, Core Hydration helps you stay feeling your best. That's Core Water. Level Beer, brewing subtle, balanced, and traditional beers with a healthy mix of New World ales and lagers thrown in for good measure. Level Beer. And Elite Real Estate, serving Oregon and Southwest Washington and now open in Vancouver. We are Elite. Come on in. 4-0 United PDX win over West Seattle Junction. They stay hot here at home, still unbeaten. 4-0-1. They've now outscored their opponents 13-2 with 2 home games left here at Lincoln High School. We'll take an audio break and be back with our MVP and head coach post-game interview.
Hey, USL2.
Joined by our MVP, Jackson Finn, and our head coach, Troy Reddy. Jackson, we'll start with you. 2 goals today. Great service from your teammates, but how does it feel to to get those first 2 goals and to continue this run where this team feels like the goals were maybe a little hard to find early, but now you're scoring in bunches?
Yeah, it feels really good. I think things are starting to click now. My goals were easy today. It was Vova and Anthony set me up beautifully on a platter. I just had to put it away. It was good.
And Coach, so you made a lot of changes going into this game from the last one. So walk us through that. We were surprised to see some of the players, but the rhythm was still great.
Yeah.
You know, still played amazingly.
Yeah, there's so much quality in the team, and I think it's a unique league in that the games, especially late in the season, start coming really fast, and so it's always just trying to find right pairings and partnerships, and then sometimes asking players, can you go hard for 45 minutes? Is all we're asking tonight because we play again in a few more days, and so the players consistently have responded to different roles, different pairings, and really as the season has begun to unfold, they're starting to understand nuances with one another and tendencies, and so you see, I think, better attacking continuity.
Jackson, tight first 45, and then you get the goal very early in the second half and able to add 2 more in quick succession. What was the message within the team? Because this West Seattle team, 1 point ahead of you in the standings, it felt like this game could go down to the final couple minutes.
Yeah, at halftime we went in there and we said if we could get 1 more, I think we put this game away. And that's what we did. We came out swinging right off the second half, and we did our job. And then the goal started opening up. The floodgates opened, and we saw success. So it was good.
Yeah, and so from the beginning of the season to now, you've got rhythm, you got really organised, you're playing out round the wings, you're getting some balls over. I mean, I thought today it was very slick, but you're getting some great balls over the tops. What I was really impressed with, your runs were late, right?
Yep.
And they were very good. So, Coach, just talk us through the rhythm and how you're playing today versus you were at the very beginning of the season.
Yeah, I think what we're most proud of at this point is continuing to be stalwart defensively. The group has given up 6 goals in now 9 games, and so if we can keep that identity, and that was part of the message before the game, is you have to keep leaning into this identity of being excellent defensively, and the goals are going to start to come. And so really, yeah, I think it's primarily just continuing that, and as we've gotten more players in and enough time for them to begin to make connections with one another, now the goals are coming.
Speaking of that defense, Jackson, when you're training against that group, what do you see that makes them so difficult to break down for opposing teams?
Yeah, it's tough, and it's one thing I love about this environment is we go to training and it's competitive. Like, it's no easy goals. Even in training, I'm getting hit in the back constantly as a striker. They make it really easy to develop here. And I think that Michael and Sean today held it down. They locked it down. Sean with a goal line clearance right off the beginning of the game. If they score that, the game's different. So big shout out to Sean there.
Yeah. It's a big moment.
Well, we've got another home game on Tuesday night. Very excited. FC Olympia at 7 p.m. Congrats to both of you.
Thank you.
12 points from the last 4 games, hoping to add 3 more on Tuesday. That will wrap it for us here on Oregon Sports Beat as United PDX earns yet another win, 4-0 tonight over West Seattle Junction.
Appreciate it. Thank you.